Alright folks, welcome back to another adventure in the garage. Today we're going to be doing a little tutorial on this little meter. I don't know how to say its manufacturer's name, but its model number is AN8205C. So it'll be like a beginner tutorial for multimeters, specifically if you have this one. This is like a little Temu special. But if you already have some meter and testing experience, we're also going to be going over a little more detail about this meter. A few things that I just want to get out of the way is I might give this meter kind of a hard time, but I will say for the quality and accuracy, it's priced appropriately. I'll put how much I purchased it for up on the screen for y'all. But oftentimes you'll find meters like this in the US or wherever else at the auto store, and it'll be priced 2 or 3 times the amount for the same quality. And that's when I start to get a little flustered about that kind of stuff. I will let you know, if you bought this meter for its transistor testing ability, these little ports here, they never work on any of these cheaper meters. I'll go through and prove that process to you. That function doesn't work right out of the box. Another thing I'd recommend, if you did get this meter and you're a hobbyist, you plan on using it every once in a while, I always recommend getting a nice set of aftermarket leads from a big box store, electronics store, something like that. The leads that come with the meter are always really cheap. These ones aren't that bad. They'll hold up to a continuity test, but keeping the leads that you use with a lower quality meter like this is kind of like keeping the guitar strings for the super cheap guitar that you just got. If you get just some higher quality strings on a cheap guitar, it can make a big difference. So same kind of mindset with the test leads. Let's go ahead. We'll go through the buttons and the lead ports really quick, get that out of the way, and then we're just going to walk through this wheel clockwise. We'll have some demonstrations, take some measurements for you, hopefully get you a lot more comfortable on this little guy. So if you do need it for troubleshooting, you'll have a better understanding of how to utilize it. First, our buttons. We've got a backlight, that's pretty straightforward, and then we have a hold button. So let's say we want to take a measurement of something and we want to store that measurement for note-taking purposes or whatever. You can just press that hold. You can release your leads and it'll keep that measurement for you. Pretty exciting. Let's go over our lead ports. This center lead port here is COM for common. That's where your black lead will always live. Make sure those leads are seated in there nicely or you're gonna have a lot of trouble with your readings. Secondly is we're gonna have our main port. This is for measuring, temperature, voltage, all that stuff, diode, resistance. And then the only time you're gonna use this port is on this setting, and that is your up to 10 amps DC. That's when you'll put the red lead into that port for those measurements. Otherwise, always gonna keep your red lead in there. Let's go ahead and take a look at our AC measurement. I just took this meter out for a little spin before I started the video, and it didn't seem too bad. There's a few notes here and there, but let's go ahead and take a look. There's our hot to neutral coming back 120.3, hot to ground. Let's do neutral ground. Great, that looks great. Let's just do a side-by-side comparison. Obviously, this meter is in a much different price point. I wouldn't expect, this cheap little Temu meter to have the same accuracy, but just for comparison, we can come back with the professional meter. Hot to ground, neutral to ground. Okay, so it's not picking up the ghost voltage that we would normally see. I wonder if that has to do with, let's check the internal impedance on this meter really quick. Could be a little bit low. It is a little bit low. Typically, what we'll see is 10 mega ohms is what we'll generally see on a standard for a meter. Let's try another meter. Yeah, we'll typically see close to 10 mega ohms. So this is almost having like a naturally built-in, not quite a low impedance naturally, but it's getting close to it. So that's kind of interesting, something to think about for this. It's not super low, but it's enough to drop off that ghost voltage, which is actually kind of nice. And then this 600 volt setting, obviously if you're going to be measuring more than 200 volts, which I would not recommend for a little meter like this, these leads and stuff, it's just the insulation, wouldn't recommend it. But if you're overseas or whatever and you're measuring your 220 to 240, you would set that to 600 volts AC for doing those checks. Okay, let's go over to, what's this next range down here? We've got Amperage DC. That's what it's telling us. If it had a sine wave, if it had a symbol kind of more like that, a solid line and a sine wave, that would say that That would mean that it's rated for AC and DC amperage measurements. This is telling us, hey, this meter is only rated for DC amperage measurements. So let's go ahead and get some loads going. So this first resistor here, man, I can't remember what we should be looking looking at for a measurement. But keep in mind, when we're making amperage measurements, we're gonna be using the meter as a jumper to complete our circuit. Unlike with voltage measurements where we measure in parallel, we're gonna be doing this measurement in series. So I'm on the 2 milliamp setting. So 100 milliamps should be micro, so that's 125 microamps. Try a different load. And then you'll want to keep an eye out on your polarity. If you see that negative sign on the left side of your meter, that's showing us, if you see that one, that's saying it's out of range. Let's crank this bad boy up a little bit. Let's see if we're in range yet. Still out of range. Okay, I'm gonna go to the 200 milliohm setting, or excuse me, milliamp. So 83 milliamps of current. And then notice if I switch my leads around, we'll get that negative sign coming up. That just means the polarity of the leads is reversed, okay? That's all that's trying to say. And then this last one here is gonna be for up to 10 amps. Remember, this is the only time that you're gonna switch those leads around. There are fuses built into both ports, which is nice. Sometimes on these lower end meters, you're not gonna get fuses that are built in, but if you take an amperage measurement, you hear something pop, probably that fuse in there. I don't know what kind of fuse it takes. Crap, it probably popped it already. There we go. Okay, so that's showing about 1.98 amps. That seems right to me. Let's verify it. Just another meter really quick. Amps DC. Our other meter was doing, I think, a really good job. Very close. For the price point, I think it did great. Now let's hope I didn't blow this meter up already. Go ahead and check. Okay, I didn't blow it. It can be really easy to do with these cheaper meters, and if you're in a rush and you're not paying attention with amperage measurements, you can blow the fuses in your meter, or you can blow the components that you're working on. HFE, what is this for? This is for transistor testing. That's what the NPN and PNP. The CBE is collector base emitter. That's what it stands for on your transistor. I'm gonna go ahead and show you a transistor, a fresh one. This is the type of transistor tester that I really recommend. I've got it in my little Amazon store linked down below. This is great. You can just load it in and it will auto detect whether it's a NPN, PNP, and it'll give you all the information that you need. So this tester is showing, hey, this is good, and then it auto detects, okay, emitter base collector. It's saying 1, 2, 3, and it's an NPN. If I take this same transistor, no tricks up my sleeves, I go to NPN and I go to emitter base collector. Can you hear how crusty it sounds in there? Because you can shake this meter and you can hear stuff floating around. So the transistor tester does not work on here out of the box, but that's pretty typical for this price point. Nothing to write home about it. When I have done reviews about this kind of feature before on other meters, you know, some people will have luck and they'll be able to move the transistor around and get a value output. To me, I don't even waste my time with trying to get that sweet spot. It should work out of the box or it doesn't. So next is gonna be for our thermocouple. It does come with the thermocouple, and this defaults to Celsius. Black to calm, red to here. And you're gonna see showing up about 22C, 23 for ambient room temperature. I've got this little thermocouple here. Let's see what it has to say. So 22C, so that's great. That's awesome. That's great that it has it like that right out of the box. Now this, you'll notice there's a lot of settings on here, and sometimes you might see a meter like this and it doesn't have nearly as many. That's because this is a manually selecting meter, which if you're a beginner can be hard. I learned on an auto ranging meter, but a manually selecting meter can be hard because you don't know enough to know what you're looking for and what looks right and what doesn't. If this is the meter that you have, you can learn to, oh, we skipped over, we got diode and continuity next. Okay, let's get in here. This little arrow guy is for testing diodes, and this little speaker symbol right here means that this will produce a tone when there's low enough resistance amongst a set of wires. It's also a good way to check your leads. Set it to that continuity setting and move your leads around. They're dropping out a lot, your leads are going bad. But just, you know, an example, if you've got like a bundle of wires and you're trying to figure out which wire goes where, continuity setting is great for that because you don't have to look at your meter, you can just listen for that tone. I have seen with these cheaper meters, they're diode. testing. So something to talk about diode testing. A meter's gonna put out 2.5, 3 volts, something like that, DC. So I'll just show you real quick. So this meter is outputting, so this meter should be outputting, I think I saw it before, it's putting out about 3 volts, okay? So that's how it's gonna test the diode. And I just wanna do a side-by-side comparison. I've seen this on these cheaper meters recently. I've been trying to dig more into it. When you're testing a diode, this silver stripe is to annotate your cathode. Black is cathode, red is anode. What we're gonna see here is the amount of voltage drop. See how it says 387 to 392? Should be a lot higher. If you did that test based off of what we would normally expect, so that's trying to say there's 386 millivolts of voltage drop across this diode, which some people could interpret as bad. If we look at what this meter is saying, it's gonna say 539. So that would tell us that this diode is good because we wanna see about between 500 and 800 millivolts of voltage drop when we're testing our diode. And so if we came and saw, a low amount, we could be thinking, oh, maybe there's something going on with this diode. Something to look for. And then when you test your diode, you'll want to test it in the other direction, and you'll want to see that 1. That 1 means there's no current flow when you test it this way. Always test it in both directions. And then, you can, because it's putting out so many volts, you can just fully light up an LED with this thing. I don't know how well that comes up on camera. That's pretty bright. Normally what you would see on a meter when you're diode testing like that, it'll come on and then you'll get a display, and that's your minimum forward voltage. This meter is not going to display that. It's just going to give you a 1 and then light up the diode for you. So that's that. Okay, now we're on a resistance. Actually, I think we're going to do some side-by-sides with the flukes. I think some of the resistive measurements are definitely in the ballpark, and that's really all you need. So I'm not trying to say, oh, this is not accurate enough to take a resistive measurement that's going to throw you off. Let's just go ahead and to kind of look at these settings, how these work. So polarity is not going to matter. You can do red or black for either side. Okay, so we're showing a 1. Let's go to this lower value. This is 150 ohm. There we go. Okay, so we're showing 145.5 and it's holding steady. I think that's actually pretty good. Let's look at it compared to a really nice meter. This is coming at 146. I mean, you could even have that little bit of change in resistance just from the way the leads are sitting on the screws. See that, how I can get it to change around a little bit? So I don't think that's anything to write home about. This light bulb should be coming back like 1.5, 2 maybe. And then we've got this higher end one here. You're gonna see that 1 come up. That 1 means we're out of range. Okay, so we need to keep going through the dial. Okay, still out of range. We're at 2K, 20K, we're still out of range, 200K. So it has this little 200 here at the bottom. And that's a reminder because this says 97. At one quick glance, or if you forget it's on a 200K setting, you could think, oh, that's 97 ohms. That's way too low. But we got to remember the K. So this is really 97,000 ohms. That's what they're trying to say here. And then we can go to 2 mega ohms and we've got 0.1 mega ohms is what it's showing there. So that's that. And then volts DC. Who doesn't love a good volts DC measurement? That's like really the bread and butter of every meter. Just go through and show you some of the settings. Again, you're going to be dealing with that 1 if it's out of range, and that's going to be throwing you off a little bit. And that's why manually selecting meters like this can be hard to learn on. So you don't really know what to look for. Let's just do a 12 volt source. Okay, with DC measurements, we're in parallel to a live circuit. I mean, for amperage is live too, but we're in parallel as opposed to series on our circuit. We're on the 200 millivolt setting. We're getting that 1. It's telling us it's not within the range value yet. 2 volts, still there. At the 20 volt setting, we're seeing, okay, because that's saying 20 volts and below it can read. So it's reading 12.06. Let's do that versus this little guy. Remember, red to red, black to black for DC measurements. Okay, and this one's coming about 11.99. It's just reading a little bit high. Set it to that 200 volt setting. Now that 200 volt setting, notice how on the 20 volt, we've got 2 decimal places. We can read to hundredths of a volt, right? We set it to that 200 volt. Now we can only read to tenths, but we're gonna gain another digit on this side. So if this was 112, right, we would be able to see that. And then there's a 600 volt setting. Again, the 600 volt AC and DC, I would not use on a little hobbyist beginner meter like this. There you go. There's all the settings. Let me know if you got any questions or if I screwed anything up. If you've got this meter and you like it, let us know down in the comments. If you don't like it, also let us know so that other people that look up this meter and how to use it or are considering buying it know how the rest of the community feels about it. So thank you for joining me in another adventure in the garage, and I'll check you on the next one.